Now, you are obviously here against your will. Totally helpless. Don't know where you're at. Don't know what's going to happen to you.
In the New Mexico desert, hidden behind a plain white trailer, was a secret so horrifying it silenced even the most seasoned investigators. David Parker Ray, a seemingly average mechanic, harbored a chamber of nightmares, a chamber for torture, obsession, and control. They called it the toy box, but what had happened inside was anything but play. Born in 1939, David Parker Ray appeared outwardly unremarkable. He worked as a park ranger in the remote town of Elephant Butte, New Mexico. Ray grew up with an abusive father and developed violent sexual fantasies from a young age. He later admitted to being obsessed with rape, domination, and sadism. Over time, these fantasies became plans. He began building his dream, a place where he could be in total control. Ray targeted prostitutes. Most were believed to be sex workers, runaways, or drug users, populations less likely to be reported missing. He lured them with some kind of a ruse, such as soliciting them or pretending to be a police officer. He would then take them to his homemade torture chamber, the toy box, which was filled with sex toys, surgical instruments, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, syringes, and diagrams of the human body. There was also a gynecology table that the victims would be restrained in, and a mirror mounted on the ceiling so that they would be able to see themselves be raped and tortured. Ray would often play an audio cassette to his victims when they were awake, describing in cold, clinical detail exactly what he was about to do to them. The tape is nearly an hour long. Ray would record the torture either by audio or with a video camera. He would take trophies such as clothing or the jewelries of the victims. At least some of the victims were let go after a few days. Ray claimed to have drugged them to make them forget about what had happened. Over 100 homemade videotapes were discovered inside Ray's trailer during the 1999 search. Some tapes were practically erased, degraded, or damaged, likely intentionally to destroy evidence or confuse investigators. The tapes showed women restrained, drugged, or unconscious, sometimes crying or screaming. The acts recorded included sexual assault using objects, physical torture like cutting, clamping, or electrocution, forced participation on bestiality like Ray-owned dogs he allegedly used in assaults. Involvement of other individuals, notably Cindy Hendy, who was Ray's girlfriend, and potentially Ray's daughter, Glenda Ray. Some investigators believed that not all tapes were recovered. Ray hinted that some tapes were buried, lost, or destroyed. It's unknown how many victims were recorded or how many ever made it out alive. Ray's killings are believed to have come to an end in March 1999, where he was 59 years old. On the 22nd, an intended victim, Cynthia Vigil, escaped in Elephant Butte after being held captive and tortured in the toy box for 3 days. She had waited for Ray to go to work and then taken the keys from his accomplice, his girlfriend Cindy Hendy. In an almost cinematic moment, Hendy struck her on the head with a lamp in an attempt to knock her out, but Vigil managed to unlock her chains, stab Hendy in the neck with an ice pick from the floor, and run away. She was wearing only an iron sleeve collar and the padlock chains. She made it to a mobile home, the owner of which let her in, gave her a rope, and called 911. Police officers were already on their way to Ray's address. Both Ray and Hendy were arrested, claiming to be abducted Vigil in an attempt to help her get rid of her heroin addiction. When the officers looked inside the toy box and found, besides the torture devices and sex toys, the fake police badge Ray used to abduct Vigil and evidence of Vigil's struggle with Hendy, They arrested them both and charged them with 12 different criminal charges, including kidnapping and aggravated assault. As the investigation continued, evidence of more victims emerged. A past victim known as Angelica Aim came forward, telling the authorities about how she was abducted by Ray a little over a month before Cynthia Vigil. She had reported her kidnapping, but for some reason the police didn't investigate it. Ray's trial began on March 28, 2000, and just after the jury selection was done, he suffered a heart attack and the trial was postponed. Cynthia Vigil and another surviving victim, Kelly Garrett, testified against him. On May 28, 2002, Ray was transported to the Lee Country Correctional Facility in Hobbs. He died of a heart attack before the scheduled interrogation took place at the age of 62. With him dead, the case became a dead end. No bodies were found, no possible victims were identified, and no old suspicious deaths related to Ray were ever officially linked to him. In November of 2002, the toy box was opened to the public with the hope that it would lead to more surviving victims coming forward. In October of 2011, the FBI performed a search of Macrae Canyon near Elephant Butte Lake looking for potential victims, but found none.